That's right, Kelly. It was heartache and anger that went on for years. That's what a Baltimore County family has been dealing with. They lost a mother and a wife and had to wait more than half a decade for justice. She had a light in her eyes that shines through, even in these old family pictures.
She loved to dance and didn't mind when the spotlight was on her.
In the winter of 2005, Janet Hannon knew she'd soon have a shining moment. Her youngest son was getting married, and she wanted to look her best. She brought up plastic surgery, but at 5'3" and 118 pounds, her family didn't think it was necessary.
Frankly, I didn't take her seriously. I thought she was joking. I was like, what are you doing, Mom? I'm like, you're crazy. You don't need to do something like that.
But on February 23rd, Janet went forward with a tummy tuck, liposuction, and other procedures. Dr. Oscar Ramirez, a board-certified plastic surgeon, handled the procedure, a surgery that lasted nearly 10 hours.
And they said, well, you know, she's not going to be coming home. We're going to keep her. Of course, at that time, I didn't realize and know that that wasn't proper procedure.
Medical records show Janet was kept overnight at Ramirez's clinic, which was located in this Timonium building. She was taken to her home in Parkville the next day.
You know, I slept on the floor right next to her, and you know, she would get up and she was cognizant. She talked.
Mike Hannon spent 2 nights next to the couch where his wife lay sleeping. On the morning of February 26th, he woke to find his soulmate was gone.
Just hoping that maybe it was a bad dream, but it wasn't.
This family's nightmare was just beginning. An autopsy listed the cause of Janet's death as cardiac arrhythmia. Ramirez says her passing, which happened 3 days after surgery, was unrelated, and the state never proved he directly caused her death. But as the Hannons pursued their own case, they learned shocking information about Janet's surgeon.
Later found out that the doctor didn't have any hospital privileges.
State records show Oscar Ramirez lost those privileges after giving up his malpractice insurance in 2003, 2 years before Janet's surgery. The Hannons also discovered that under state and industry rules, the kind of outpatient clinic Ramirez was running wasn't supposed to keep patients overnight or do procedures longer than 6 hours. And they learned Ramirez had lost a patient following a 12-hour surgery just 5 months before Janet died.
I hope no one has to go through this again like we do. I mean, it's devastating. It's devastating.
Devastation further compounded by legal battles. Court files show the Hannons sued Ramirez for malpractice in 2006 and eventually settled with him. Months later, though, the doctor moved to Florida, set up shop at another clinic, then filed for bankruptcy, listing just $66,000 in assets, along with a $435,000 debt to the Hannons.
You know, time passes and, you know, you heal a little bit. And, you know, things start to become a distant memory, and then 5 years later you get the thing from the physicians.
It was a letter saying the Maryland Board of Physicians had revoked Dr. Ramirez's medical license, saying he, quote, failed to meet the standards of quality medical care by performing lengthy surgeries in an outpatient setting without adequate resources on 2 patients, Janet and the man who died before her. The board's final decision came 6 years, 4 months, and 17 days after Janet's death.
It's broken. It's a broken system in my eyes.
A broken system that allowed the doctor who operated on Janet to keep working, moving on as the memories of Janet Hannon stay frozen in time.
What memories do you hang on to?
Just the love between us, the caring, morning embraces, a kiss goodnight, holding her hand, dancing a jitterbug. It might sound funny, but, you know, we dance very well together. People would, you know, say, look at that couple, you know, they really fit. So.
Janet Hannon was a medical fraud investigator, but even she didn't know all the questions to ask her doctor. But we had plenty. We wanted to hear Dr. Ramirez's side of the story. He's still practicing in Florida, so we went to see him face to face. Ramirez says his revocation is under appeal in Maryland, and he's confident he'll be reinstated. He says the only reason the board took his license was because he did lengthy surgeries in an office-based clinic, not because 2 of his patients died.
A patient died from
Cardiac arrhythmia?
cardiac arrhythmia 3 days after her surgery, so that was not related to the surgery I had performed, and this was already kind of clear by the administrative law judge. So the situation, there was no cause effect between the surgeries I had performed on those patients and the death of those patients.
Ramirez says he practices with the highest standard of care. We'll hear more from him tomorrow. But his case, which dragged on for years, is not the exception in Maryland. Also tomorrow, the findings of a startling ABC 2 News investigation into bad medicine will expose delays by the state's medical board that have allowed doctors accused of claiming lives, molesting patients, abusing drugs, and more to continue seeing patients for months, even years after the board was notified. And we'll explain how a lax enforcement system allows doctors to move their practices to other states after losing their licenses. Josie Sturman, ABC 2 News.